Welcome, everyone. I am passionate about what we're talking about today. I have a very special guest, Lindsay Sutherland, who is the Passive Income Examiner. Welcome, Lindsay. It is great to have you here.
Thank you, Gloria. You have amazing energy. I love your spunky enthusiasm. It's just
Thank
totally my
you.
vibe.
Thank you so much. So, Lindsay, you are a very busy person. You're a mother of four, is that right? Three or four?
Four.
Four. And you homeschool these kids and have a husband and you have businesses going on. How do you do it all?
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder myself, actually. No, I do it because I guess how I do it and my why are two different things. So, first, how I do it is I focus on time blocking and balance. Number one, I
Okay.
really, it's funny. You want to hear something really ironic? I just got off another interview with somebody from Toronto and we just talked about balance. It was like, what an irony, but balance isn't, I don't think, what everybody thinks it is. I'll spend equal amounts of time here and equal amounts of time here. To me, balance is finding your happy vibe, your zone, whatever works for you. That
Yeah.
is your balance, and your balance will evolve. It will not stay the same. What was balance for me back in 2012 is not balanced for me now. And it's been an
Absolutely.
interesting evolution, and I'm happy to talk about that too if we want. But to me, that's really the thing that's important. And I'll tell you how I found balance with homeschooling, because that's one that I get asked a lot, especially after COVID. I made the determination not to put my kids back in school that year right after COVID, because of the fact that, well, actually it was 2019 or 2021. Yeah, right after COVID. Oh my stars, my the years are going by so fast. But I was like, I'm not going to go through this again with this at home learning. That was a disaster. And so I thought, you know what? I need balance. So I'm going to control my curriculum. I'm going to make my own schedule. So what I did is I started homeschooling 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, Mondays and Fridays, I had to keep my kids busy, right? Because we all know when we're working from home, that's like the big focus of the day, is to keep your kids busy. So I would give them projects to do and assignments that they could do without me Mondays and Fridays. And chores, of course. Chores are always good for keeping kids busy. But that's how I found that balance. And then my busy time, my working intentional time, was between 2 and 5 those days. And then some on Monday. I've always kind of reserved Fridays for Fun Friday. Like, we have to make
Mhm.
time for fun. And I really like to be intentional about blocking off time to spend with my kids, where it doesn't matter if chores are done, it doesn't matter what their behavior is. Like, we spend time together no matter what, because that is high priority in my life. Obviously,
Right.
I love it when my husband comes, but sometimes he has his own agenda. So no matter what, I am dedicated to the kids on Fun Fridays, right? So I've always kind of maintained that. And then, the weekend is the weekend and you do what you do. But that's how I was able to find balance in 2021.
Okay, so let's dig into this passive income thing because you've got a business all around coaching people how to create passive income, correct?
Yes. And a lot of times, what I've been doing is working with corporations and larger companies who, for example, I have a client now who his primary business is a VA outsourcing company. And he came to me, actually, I met him, he was a guest on my podcast. And he said, I find that I'm spending so much time talking to people, selling them on my services, and I shouldn't be doing that. Like, I'm investing a lot of my time and it's being given away. And so we created a passive income funnel for his business that does two things. One, it it helps people at the top of his funnel. So let me break that down, what I'm talking about.
Sure.
When we talk about a buyer psychology, there's a funnel, right? There's the tire kickers who come in and they need information. The second tier funnel, those people are beyond the information. They've made up their mind about kind of what they want, and they're in the question of who are they going to get it from. So those are the mid-level buyers. And then the hot buyers at the bottom, right? They now know what and who, and it's just a matter of when. So when you look at that funnel for a company, a lot of times companies are spending a lot of marketing dollars on that first tier funnel, the people who need the information and those tire kickers. And their idea is to bring them in this net. Well, what his problem was is he was scooping these people in and then spending a lot of his own personal time trying to convert them. And what was happening is a lot of them were going off and spending a year figuring it out on their own after talking to him, coming back to him and saying, you know what, I need you. Now they were in the I'm ready stage, right? So I said, let's create a funnel that services the people who are in that looky-loo stage, give them the DIY information that they're looking for, let them try it, but learn about you in the process so we can pull them into that know, like, and trust factor. And then, and these are through, by the way, this is through courses, first a freebie, then a mini course, and then he's got a full-fledged course. And then once you get to through that funnel, two things are happening. One, his time is like alleviated, right? Now he can just focus on people at the end of that funnel. And two, he can put this marketing on autopilot, so to speak. And then it continually feeds business into his primary business, which is he's a people finder. He helps businesses find people. So it's a beautiful system because he really sees himself growing into more of a consultant role. And he needed to free up his time to do that. So that's an example of what I've been doing with corporations. What I'm moving into. Go ahead.
That applies to individuals. I mean, our viewers and listeners are network marketers and affiliate marketers. And it's exactly what I've done in my network marketing / affiliate marketing business to bring people in. I've created funnels, just exactly like what you said. I've got a whole bunch of, free lead magnets, giveaways. I've created courses. People get to know me more and more and more. And then they either buy into a high-end course or they join one of my teams. And so in my experience, I use funnels all the time. And then I would say about 2 years ago, I've got funnels and the funnels keep going. About 2 years ago now, I really started using YouTube and using YouTube as a funnel. So people find you on YouTube because they're searching for a very specific subject matter. They watch a whole bunch of your videos so that by the time they get down to booking a call with you, it's exactly what you've said. You've already built the know, like, and trust factor through video. They've already decided the what, and they've decided the who. They've decided that they want to join this business, and they've decided they want to join me. And then it's like, okay, is now the right time? So I love what you're saying, and it totally applies to everybody who's listening to this.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Good. 100%. Well, and I'm curious to hear more about your YouTube side of things too. And we'll have to chat about that. Maybe you can come share on the podcast because, that's something that I think this, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, by all means, like I'm open for full dialogue, but in my research and my podcast is called the Passive Income Examiner for a reason. Because when I started, I was on an exploratory mission to learn about passive income. I didn't know at the time that I had the skill set to do this, like already. I didn't know how to put it in order. It's kind of like I had all the ingredients, but I didn't have the recipe. So for me, the podcast was an information seeking mission. Like I wanted to hear from these experts and learn from them, right? And in doing so, one thing I've learned is there's a piece that a lot of people are, I wouldn't say that they're missing, but they don't share it freely. And that is like a content marketing that works evergreen. Do you hear where I'm going with that?
Absolutely. So, I've got 3 different YouTube channels and they all have different content for different things. And it's all about what I've found in my experience and what I highly recommend to our viewers, our listeners who are really trying to figure out how you can create this. Well, to me, there are 2 different things. One is passive income and one is residual income, which are not the same. They're different. But the more you give away, the more value you give away, the more you will get back.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
That's what content marketing is all about. It's about sharing information, sharing valuable ideas, sharing tips, sharing tools. And the more you do that, the more you'll have a steady stream of people coming to you. Absolutely.
Well, and because it builds on itself, it snowballs. It's like, yes, you could put ads out there, and I'm not saying not to, but if you did do that, the problem with ads is as soon as you stop feeding the money machine, the ads stop, your pipeline stops, right?
Exactly.
Whereas with evergreen marketing like YouTube or I wouldn't suggest social media necessarily, although there is some talk that TikTok is kind of moving in that direction. But I would say podcasting, blogging, YouTube, those are the primary evergreen marketing
Absolutely.
strategies.
Yeah.
Pinterest, people way underestimate the power of Pinterest. But those things there, when you start just being consistent, even if all you did was an hour a week, if that's all you did,
Yeah.
over time, that is going to add and build up on itself. I still get calls from people from podcasts that I recorded a year ago. So
Absolutely.
it's beautiful. Like that's the piece though that I think a lot of internet marketers maybe don't really always talk about, or you got to pay for the really high level program to get that information. But
Well, I
it's
talk about it. I talk about it all the time because, like you, I'm passionate about this.
yeah.
So I want to know for the solopreneur, what are your top passive income strategies?
So I have a free PDF. You guys are welcome to check it out. That goes into more of these. You could text in the word PIE to 33777. The
Okay.
top the top ones, and again, Gloria, this is going to depend really on what they're doing. That's kind of a important factor because it depends if they're online or if they're just networking, like
Sure.
face to face, so to speak. But one of the number one ways is to sell information. And I think if we just focus on that for the sake of time, that would be one because it kind of can incorporate the other two in a way. So the primary first three on my PDF is selling information, affiliate marketing, and e-commerce. And those would be three. And again, these are generic high level ideas of passive income. But when you think about it, you can almost tie those three together into a funnel, into a system, using selling information again to reach those high level people seeking more information, right?
Yeah.
The second one would then be bringing them down. I'm going to guess you're doing this because you probably sell products at some level. So
Yeah.
you've got your courses to talk about the information and like maybe how to apply what I don't know. What's your primary
Well,
uh
my primary
company?
thing is helping network and affiliate marketers make passive and residual income. So not,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I teach and train. That's what I do. So my courses
Yeah.
are all about that. Really, the opportunities that I'm involved in are all about helping people figure out how to have passive income. And to me, passive income is something where you usually have to put some amount of money in. It can be small, it can be as little as maybe $50 or something, but you let the money work for you and you honestly don't do anything and the money works for you and makes money. So
Mhm.
I know you talk a little bit about real estate. So an example, this is not what I teach. I'm not a real estate expert, but an example of that would be you buy a condo or you buy a condo or a house or something, and then you rent it out, right?
Mhm.
So you made the investment. Now that's a big investment. That's not a
Right.
$50 investment, but then you rent it out and you're making income on that. And that is passive income. Residual income is where you do the work and you do a lot of work up front, and it does take work, and then you get paid for a very long time after that. So
Right.
the difference between passive is truly where you're putting money into something and your money's working for you. And there are a lot of those things where you don't have to put a lot of money in at all, and you can reap nice rewards.
Mhm.
And there are other things where, like real estate, can be passive income, but you're putting a whole lot more money in. So
Yeah, so you could get passive income too from, for example, building like a course, but like you said, you could put money into it. You could do ads that drive traffic to a landing page that then sells your course and kind of runs on autopilot.
like,
Something I recently taught was a way to build courses and put them onto platforms where, so rather than having necessarily your own landing page, you are hosting your stuff on other people's platforms. So they're kind of in charge of driving the traffic, so to speak. So there are ways to do it that way too, to leverage, I call it leveraging other people's audiences. But then also, you might have the investment of your time. And that's honestly how I got started. I didn't really have a lot of money to throw into my business at first, but I did have time and I started my podcast, which is very inexpensive. YouTube is inexpensive to get started as well, but you dedicate yourself to that consistency and that continual marketing. And then, like I said, it's like every like 6 months, you see kind of this uptick in viewership or listenership. And that is an investment of your time. But now when you pair that with, let's say I used a podcast to drive traffic to a landing page that then converted to a course selling, right? And I was capturing emails in the process. So now I have email marketing on my side.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, yeah. And in the meantime, we also maybe have affiliate marketing going on our podcast. So like if I have guests on, for example, I had a amazing gentleman, speaking of real estate, he literally teaches people how to quit their job by building passive income businesses through real estate. What I really liked about it was he really teaches you the whole business and not just how to find a deal, not just how to get the house, but the whole kit and caboodle, and set it up so that it is passive and you're not the landlord, right? So I really just promote his stuff because I understand a lot about real estate. I like what he's doing. I have an affiliate link set up with him. So now I'm earning income from that. Now there's two things I could do with that, Gloria. I could just sprinkle it into my podcast and let that happen naturally, which I do. Mm-hmm. The other thing I could do is I could really be intentional about throwing money behind it, like you said, and really maybe putting some ads behind my link. And every time I sell one of his courses, I get paid $250. Now that is what we talked about when I talked about those three things. That would be setting up I call them micro businesses, because all these little streams of income, that's really what they are. They're micro businesses. And it would be setting up a micro business that's just around affiliate marketing. Now, obviously from the whole, I'm doing affiliate marketing and I'm doing courses, which is selling information. That's step one. And then the last I mentioned was e-commerce. And really the only difference is it's essentially like, for example, I met a wonderful woman recently. She wanted to design her own tea brand. She loves tea. She's from Europe. So she connected with a manufacturer in the United States, a wholesaler, and then she got a logo designer to put together and make the logo, the brand. She got trademarked and everything put together, and she's building her own basically e-commerce store, offering a product that is completely unique to her, that she completely invented. That is an e-commerce situation. It is cool. She's a really neat lady. So, those are examples of passive income, 3 primary ways. Real estate is the fourth. And then there's a fifth that's really, truly passive. And that's obviously broken down in my, and when I say truly passive, it's like where your money works for you only. Nothing else.
And yeah. You want to text the word PIE, PIE, to what's the number again?
33777.
Okay. 33777. Okay. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Just am putting that in the comments, and we'll make sure we get that out to everyone. So text the word PIE, PIE, to 33777 to get Lindsay's free guide on passive income. So I love those. You talk about the fact that somebody can make passive income out of basically any passion they have. Is that really true?
I believe it is.
Okay.
And I've seen it done. For example, a woman who likes to make, this is something, I don't even know what they're called, but they're little wool dolls. Okay. They're like, they're from the Middle East, something, but this one woman, she's an older woman. She had this passion for these little dolls and making them. And so she had this group of women that came together and she taught people. Well, it grew into believe it or not, a membership of people all over the world who want to learn to make these dolls. That is the most unusual and specific thing that I can imagine. Here's another example. Let's say, and I've talked about this on the podcast, this example specifically. Let's say that you are somebody who loves, my grandfather is into this, flying airplanes, but the RC airplanes, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of it's not something a lot of people are into. It's a very niched hobby. But let's say you're into this, right? You could do a couple of things. One, you could create a course about entry-level course, how to get started with this, right? What products to buy. Through that, use affiliate links to sell links to Amazon or whatever, wherever you find those parts and kits for those things.
Right.
And now you're making money through your course. You're making money through the links when people buy stuff. You could also decide to do a membership and even connect with people online to talk about it. Like that is just literally manufacturing something out of something you love to do. I'm just using that as an example.
Okay. Now,
Honestly, go ahead.
my distinction on those things, because I've created many courses and I'm an affiliate for a bunch of different things. When you create a course or that kind of thing, to me, that is residual income. Because let's be honest, it's a lot of work to create a course and do everything you need to do to market the course and everything else. So you're putting in a bunch of work. You're doing all the research, you're creating, you're recording the program, you're doing whatever you need to do, you're writing it. It's a lot of work. It's not like, oh, I'll do this in 15 minutes, right? Do you agree with me on that?
Right. Absolutely.
So to me, that's not passive income. That's residual income, because you're putting a lot of work in up front and then you're going to get paid over time. So, I mean, it's a nuance.
Yep. Well, okay. So let's say you were coming to me and you're like, Lindsay, I don't want to do any work. I would say, okay, fine. Find somebody else's course to sell. And the same thing is true with e-commerce. If you're going to build an e-commerce site, let's say a Shopify store, and you're going to do all the work yourself, you're putting the work in. If you're going to go find a deal for real estate, you're putting the work in. Really, here's the government. The government classifies passive income as two things. One, when you've invested in a business as a silent partner, they consider that passive income. And if you own, they don't even consider real estate passive income. Forgive me, my brain just went bloop. I have a guy on my podcast. I'll link it because he's a tax attorney. So we had this whole conversation and he's like, look, the government calls it these two things. Everything else that we all call passive income, the government doesn't classify as passive income. That's the point I'm here making. With that being said, if you want to define it that way, that's totally fine. You could invest in somebody who makes your Shopify store for you. There's tons of people out there doing that. But for the most people, they don't have the $5,000 to $10,000 to do that. That's
sure.
If they did, I mean, obviously that would be great, but most people don't. So essentially, they are going to invest their time instead of their money. But once that initial investment is made and you figure out the component that works for your business like clockwork, as far as the feeding the pipeline, right? Now, whether that's ad or evergreen marketing, that's when it becomes passive. Real estate is probably, to me, the most passive, especially when you set it up as a business, because you can buy a rental with very little money out of pocket. If you know what you're doing, you can buy, you could even borrow money. You don't even have to come up with your own money to do that. When you understand it. And obviously I'm not, if you're not educated, don't do that. But that is true. You get a property manager, you get a home warranty, you get your extra insurance, and next thing you know, you have a completely passive money coming in every month, and it can just run on autopilot for the most part. I mean, my condo, the only time I've had to really be involved in that is when the AC went out and the home warranty company wasn't working with my property manager. I had to get involved. So it could be very passive. But, for the most part, for most people, they're going to have to invest something. It's time or money. And in my opinion, those are very equal because, I mean, it costs us time to get the money in the first place most of the time.
Yeah, totally agree. So, Lindsay, what's your favorite source of passive income?
Real estate is my favorite. I do. I met my husband through real estate, actually. I quit the car business by learning to apprentice in real estate. I wanted to be a wholesaler. I learned so much, but then it was just really bad timing. It was 2008. The market crashed right after I quit my job. So I ended up having to get back into the car business. But I always learned from that and continued to persevere through that. In fact, it was real estate that helped make it possible for us to leave our home in Arizona, quit my job, and move to North Idaho.
Wow. Cool. So is there an optimal number? I'm not involved in real estate, I'll be totally honest, but I think it's an excellent play. I don't know enough about it to, be doing it. And is there an optimum number of units that one should have?
Well, I think it's everybody's situation's different, but I would look at it like this. If you're cash flowing, and that's the word everybody uses in real estate, cash flow,
Right.
because there's other ways to make passive income with real estate besides actual cash every month. You get the tax write-offs, and there's a lot of benefits, especially here in the US. It's not like that in every country. But when you look at, if you can capture $250 a month minimum cash flow, and that's after all expenses, mind you,
Right.
then you're doing good. That's one unit. So if you
Okay.
need to make 5,000 a month, just divide that by 250, and that's your unit count that you want to focus on.
Great. So 250 a month positive cash flow after all expenses is doing well.
That's considered well. And
Wow.
and mind you, that's after I take a piece off for reconditioning, because after a tenant leaves, you're going to have a little bit of money porked out.
Absolutely.
However, this is something people don't always know. Let me just tell you a little secret. This has actually worked out in my favor, and I was mind blown. You can get a property manager company who has a ton of connections, like the one that we have. He seems to know everybody in town. And when we had the AC issue and the HO or the home warranty company wasn't willing to step up and help, we had to come out of pocket to fix that. So he even offered to me, he said, well, look, my guys, I'll pay my guys, and then we'll just take the money out of your rents. I was like, okay. So I didn't even have to come out of pocket.
Wow.
So there are some really cool things that you can do when you have real estate. It opens you up to a whole new level of financial income. And honestly, I think if I was to be talking to somebody right now who's working in a 9 to 5, maybe they're full-time network marketing, either way, they're really dedicated to this time investment, and they want to eventually have passive income or residual income coming in. I
Mhm.
would say to start out with focusing on selling information, building up those online store type of things we just talked about.
Right.
And then get yourself, because see, that is all taxed at standard taxable rates. Now, when you have a business, yes, you get the freedom of writing off certain things. We all understand that.
Yeah.
However, there's a whole new level of tax savings and financial benefit that comes when you own real estate. So I would say build your business to get it as financially stable as you can, and then do what your next step is to invest that in real estate. Like walk up the chain. And then the fifth step, right? Investing cash only and getting your money to work for you. So I have my PDF set up to help you walk through those stages from,
Love it.
where you don't have a lot of money maybe to invest, all the way to where you have plenty of money to invest.
Fantastic. So to get Lindsay's PDF, text the word PIE, PIE, to 33777. Lindsay, thanks so much. This half hour has flown by. I really appreciate your thoughts. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Take care. We'll see you soon.
Okay.